You want to enter this as an exhibit?
I do. What I'll refer to colloquially as the Mitnick Report. All right, well, I'm offering its admission.
And I'm objecting to it on the basis of totem pole hearsay. They're not calling all the witnesses that are mentioned in that report. I don't have a chance to cross-examine a document. I object to the content of the witnesses who are not going to be called by the city. You're allowing the introduction of evidence, hearsay evidence, that I don't have a chance to cross-examine people who are testifying in effect against the chief. I mean, how do you...
I note that objection. It still
and you're
has
simply
no
overruling
bearing.
it?
It's submitted as an exhibit, and I accept that as an exhibit. And we will move on with the case.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Edward Mitnick.
At some point, were you retained by the city of Newton to assist it as a consultant and/or investigator?
Yes.
What were you asked to investigate?
There was allegations brought forth by an employee, Jean Mooney, and those allegations were raised in a letter from her attorney to the city.
She tell you about a couple of incidents in which Mr. Cummings made statements to her that made her uncomfortable.
Yes.
And can you describe those incidents, please?
The first incident allegedly occurred when Chief Cummings was hosting a meeting of a variety of police chiefs for an organization, and she claimed that when she handed Chief Cummings some papers and asked him to make copies, he called her a bitch.
Did she tell you who was present?
The Watertown police chief.
Did you have some contact with attorney Edward Mitnick at some point in time?
I did.
Do you recall how long his interview took with you?
Less than 10 minutes.
And did he tape record your interview?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And do you know what the subject matter of the interview was that he conducted of you?
Yes,
And do you have a memory here today of what the subject matter was?
I do.
And do you equally have a memory of the events that he was asking you about?
Yes, I do.
Did you ask Chief DeVoe whether or not he'd ever heard the chief use either the word bitch or whore?
He did not recall.
Sir, do you ever recall Chief Cummings ever uttering the words, "You are such a bitch," to Jean Mooney?
It never happened in my presence.
So this happens, the first incident, you say happens in June of 2010, right? Mm-hmm. Means yes.
Yes.
And you have a very clear memory of that?
Yes.
Did you read the Mitnick Report before you came here today?
Did I read it over?
Yeah.
Yes.
When Mr. Mitnick asked you whether or not you'd ever heard the chief, and you see you've known him for what, 25, 30 years?
How long have I known the chief?
Yeah.
Yeah, in 30 years.
Never have you ever heard him call you or anybody else the word bitch, have you?
No.
So in 30 years that you've known this man, it's all of a sudden on June 2010, without any provocation, without any kind of your existing anger or animosity, calls you a bitch, right?
Right.
And you said Paula Lawrence, who's one of your best friends, correct?
Yes.
You've known her for 30 years, have you?
Yes, I have.
And you also told Mr. Mitnick, didn't you, that Paula Lawrence heard the chief say the word bitch to you. You said that to Mr. Mitnick, didn't you?
Yeah. I did not hear him say that.
You've read the Mitnick Report, haven't you? That's what I asked you before.
Yes.
And doesn't it say here in the Mitnick Report, Paula Lawrence never, although you say she was right there, never heard the chief say or call you a bitch? Who was present there? Was it just Chief DeVoe?
Well, there were a lot of people in the office. She was standing at the counter with Chief DeVoe.
Okay. When you say there are a lot of people in the office, so in addition to yourself, Chief Cummings, Chief DeVoe, there's other people, and Ms. Mooney, and yourself. There's at least 4 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You gotta say yes.
Yes.
For the record. And how many other people would you approximate were in the room this size when he was allegedly called her a bitch?
Maybe 2 more people, 3 more people.
And they would have been in same earshot as Chief DeVoe, right?
Yes,
And the same earshot as yourself.
yes,
Anybody else say that they heard the chief use the word bitch that day that you know of?
not that I'm aware of.
Well, did you ask Paul Lawrence how far she was from the chief and Ms. Mooney when the bitch comment was made, supposedly?
Yeah, she indicated she was at her desk, and her desk was approximately a little ways down the hall from where the incident took place, if I recall.
Well, that's important to know, don't you think? Did you ask her how far away she was in feet?
I don't recall asking her.
Do you think that was important?
It might have been.
Did you ask Ms. Mooney how loud the chief's voice was in terms of the alleged remark to try to get a sense of who might have heard it if it was said?
No.
Do you think that was important?
Well, she indicated that well, it could be important, but again, depends on how loud it was said, who was present. She indicated that the Watertown Police Chief was there.
Yeah. And you talked to the chief of police in Watertown.
I did.
Was there anything about Chief DeVoe's answers that indicated to you that he was in any way anything other than forthright to you?
He appeared credible to me.
Okay. And Chief DeVoe told you he was there, right?
He had a vague recollection of being there.
I've only been to this police department once, or not this police department, the Newton Police Department, one time since Chief Cummings has been. So I remember the meeting. I remember who I attended with, the members of NEMLIC that were there with me. I remember the purpose of the meeting. I was the president of NEMLIC at the time, and we came out to give an informational presentation to Chief Cummings and his command staff about what the resources of NEMLIC was about. It was a very focused meeting. I remember the day very well because I had talked to Chief O'Brien in the past that it would be good for Newton and it would be good for NEMLIC if Newton joined us as part of that law enforcement council. So I remember the day pretty well.
He had a vague recollection of being there.
I remember the day very well.
Did he have any memory of ever hearing the chief of police from Newton say that?
He had no recollection.
Okay. Do you think you might have remembered if another chief of police had called a woman, "You're such a bitch," in your presence?
I would absolutely remember something like that. It would be just so uncommon to have something like that happen. I'm sure I would have remembered if it had occurred.
Thank you, sir. That's the truth.
That's the truth.
Thank you, sir.
When you were interviewed by Mr. Mitnick, you told him that you vaguely remembered being at Newton at all on June 2010, correct?
I never said that.
You never told Mr. Mitnick that your recollection was vague?
Did you have some contact with attorney Edward Mitnick at some point in time?
I did.
Do you recall how long his interview took with you?
Less than 10 minutes.
And did he tape record your interview?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And do you know what the subject matter of the interview was that he conducted of you?
Yes,
And do you have a memory here today of what the subject matter was?
I do.
And do you equally have a memory of the events that he was asking you about?
Yes, I do.
Do you remember being interviewed by Mr. Mitnick?
I do.
Do you remember what exactly you told him?
I do.
And you deny telling him that your recollection was vague?
I don't recall using those words because, as I testified earlier, I remember it fairly well.
That's all I have.
You've read the Mitnick Report, haven't you? That's what I asked you before.
Yes,
And doesn't it say here in the Mitnick Report, Paula Lawrence never, although you say she was right there, never heard the chief say or call you a bitch?
Objection? Not-
Mr. Burke, let the report speak for itself. Can we
I have the
please
right to
proceed
use, this is
with-
an exhibit, sir.
That's
I have
right.
the right to use this for this exhibit, to cross-examine her.
You're asking her what the report said, and you have it in front of her, and you have
She
in front of
said
you.
she read
and
it.
She doesn't. That's
Doesn't
correct.
mean she memorized every sentence.
Someone asked her about whether she memorized it.
Objection sustained. Please proceed.
So Paula Lawrence Yeah, you telling us that Paula Lawrence heard the chief call you a bitch?
I don't know if she heard me.
Did you say here today that Paula Lawrence heard the chief call you a bitch?
Yes. I did not hear him say that.
Paula Lawrence was at her desk at the time, and I remember when they walked out, Chief Cummings and Chief DeVoe walked out together, I turned to her and I said, "What was that all about? Did you hear him?" And she said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, do you think he's being funny?" And I said, "Well, I don't know, but that's not funny."
I did not hear him say that.
Yeah, you telling us that Paula Lawrence heard the chief call you a bitch?
I don't know if she heard me.
Did you say that to Mr. Mitnick?
I don't remember. I
Ma'am,
don't
you have a
recall.
perfect memory of everything that happened that day, as you described it. And you don't recall sitting here today under oath whether or not you said to Mr. Mitnick, Paula Lawrence was right there and heard him call me a bitch.
I think I said Paula Lawrence was right there, and I told her.
Let me read this to you. Page 2, from the exhibit you allowed. Quote, Ms. Mooney indicated that Paula Lawrence was sitting nearby at her desk at the time, and she talked to Ms. Lawrence about the incident immediately after it happened. Now, this is immediately after, right?
Yes, it is.
Did you tell Mr. Mitnick that she heard it?
I don't recall.
Now, in addition to the word that you never heard him say, other than in June 2010, the word bitch, you ever hear him say the word whore?
Never.
Never in 30 years. First of all, Mr. Mitnick didn't tape record what you said during the course of this interview, did he?
I did not see your tape recorder, nor did you say it was tape recording.
Did he ever provide you with a copy of his notes or what he thought you said for you to acknowledge it before he made this report out?
No, sir.
Police do that all the time, don't they?
Yes.
You take a statement from somebody, and you write it down, you turn around and say, read this, pal, right?
Yes.
And if you don't agree with it, tell me what it is, and I'll change it.
Yes.
And then you sign it at the bottom so they acknowledge what you said to them is true. Did he do that with you?
No.
And is there any doubt in your mind about the content of her allegation that the chief of police called her a whore?
He did not say that.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Did Gene Mooney, during this time period, ever say to you, he just called me a whore?
No.
You think you would have remembered that?
I know I would have remembered that. As a matter of fact, Counselor, not only would I have remembered that, but if I thought she was troubled or distraught by that statement at all, if it had been me, I probably would have taken her aside later on in the day and asked if she was okay.
Are you familiar with Ms. Mooney?
I am.
How long have you known her?
30 years,
And how about Paula Lawrence?
same amount of time, 30 years.
And how would you categorize their use of profanity within the chief's office?
Pervasive, numerous.
And when we talk about profanity, we just talk about damn and hell?
No.
Anything else?
Yes, they would use can I say it here? Fucking, words such as that.
How often?
Pretty frequently.
Do you stand by the comment that you found credible that Ms. Lawrence and Ms. Mooney swore more than any police officer in the Newton Police Department?
That was statements made to me by some of the witnesses.
And in actuality, you and Ms. Mooney, you use profanity all the time, don't you?
Yes.
F-bombs,
Yes.
frequently. You have to say yes or no.
Yes.
Okay. That's part of your vernacular, right? Everyday conversation,
I
right?
would say probably where I grew up, so yeah.
You do a lot of stuff with the MCAD,
Correct.
and you're familiar with what the environment plays a role in determining whether or not it's hostile based upon the claimant's own participation in profanity. Don't you?
Absolutely. I agree.
You work in internal affairs, right?
Correct.
And for those of us who don't know, what is internal affairs responsibility?
When there's allegations of misconduct against police officers, civilian employees, it's my job to maintain and investigate or have someone else follow up on it.
Okay. And are there occasions when you tape record the interviews of those individuals that you're interviewing?
Yes, there is.
What's the reason for that?
To get an appropriate recording, a statement from the individual that you're speaking with, so that you know exactly what was said.
Exactly what was said. You did this investigation,
Correct.
and you interviewed 10 people,
Correct.
right? And you said it took several months to do this, right?
Yes.
You said you had a lot of experience doing these investigations?
Yes.
And did you tape record the interviews of the individuals, the 10 people?
I did not tape record them.
You would agree with me that a tape recording is the best means of deciphering precisely what a person's verbiage is, wouldn't you?
I agree that it's better than not having one, yes.
The tape recording also has the tonality, the inflections of the voice, doesn't it?
It could.
Well, sir, my
Well-
voice is being recorded right now.
Yeah.
And I speak really high, it's going to reflect that, isn't it?
It should, yes.
And it's going to lock in perpetuity exactly the words that are used by an individual. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes.
Did you take exact quotes of the people that you interviewed, the 10 people?
Did I take exact quotes? I did use exact quotes that were provided to me, yes.
Okay, well, what I'm saying to you is, do you have a memory of everything that was said to you by every one of the 10 witnesses?
No.
Okay. And when you said, did the chief deny those 2 statements, do you have a recording of Chief Cummings, what he actually said to you?
No.
Don't you think that would be a much more efficient and effective way to demonstrate exactly what the chief did or didn't say to you?
No.
You don't? Did you know I represented the state police for 25 years?
I did not know that.
Do you know whether or not the state police and their internal affairs tape record every single one of their interviews with every single one of their people that they interrogate?
I have no idea.
Don't you think that would be a benchmark for you as an investigator to know what the premier law enforcement agency does in conducting internal affairs investigations?
Objection.
You're asking me for my opinion?
Sure, you've already given it.
I don't think it would make a difference in doing my report.
And you had a lapse of, what, 3 or 4 months between your first interview with the chief and the next? You interviewed him 3 times, right?
Correct.
And your memory is so good that you remember everything that the chief said to you in the exact order?
No, I don't. Couldn't tell you.
Okay, and so the fact that you didn't tape record him was everybody else too, right?
Correct.
You knew that they had an obligation to cooperate with the investigation, didn't you?
Who
The members of the police department?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so there is nothing that prevented you from tape recording them. They had to comply.
If I had decided to tape record it, yes, they would have had to comply.
Have you ever done that before?
No.
Of all the investigations you've done, you've never tape recorded anybody's statements?
Never.
At some point more recently, we were approached by someone who was investigating these matters for the city.
Yes,
And was that person named Mr. Mitnick?
yes it was,
Did you cooperate fully with Mr. Mitnick?
yes.
Did you ever find out that Ms. Mooney was charged with criminal offenses?
Yes.
Did you ask her any questions about that?
No.
Being an experienced investigator, didn't you think that was important to evaluate what her potential motive was regarding the criminal charges that were pending against her?
Would I have liked to? Yes. But the counsel for Ms. Mooney would not let her answer any questions except for the 3 allegations raised against Chief.
So her counsel was present during that time period?
Correct.
So, am I correct in understanding that you wanted to ask those questions, right?
Correct.
Did you cooperate fully with Mr. Mitnick?
Yes,
You were prevented from asking those questions.
Yes, I was.
Did you interview Lieutenant O'Coin?
I did.
And did you find him to be credible?
Yes,
Did you ask him, where were you during this exact time period?
I don't recall if I asked him that or not.
That would have been important, don't you think?
Probably.
Why didn't you do that?
I don't know if I did or not. I don't have my notes in front of me.
Do you recognize what I'm handing you, sir?
Yes,
That's your handwriting, isn't it?
correct.
You want to look to the part where it's the interview of Lieutenant O'Coin?
Yes.
I'll give you a minute to read it.
Okay.
All right, so these 2 pages,
I believe that's correct.
how long did you interview him?
Turned out Coyne's interview actually lasted quite a while.
How long?
Oh, I'm going to say 25 minutes to a half hour.
25 minutes to half hour of an interview? These are the total notes you have?
Well, most of Lieutenant Coyne's interview was him going on and on about things related to Gene Mooney, which were irrelevant to my investigation.
How would you know, until you wrote the notes down, whether or not they're relevant or not?
Because he was giving me information regarding the criminal allegations as I understood them, and that was not a matter that I was investigating.
Okay, well, you said before that you wanted to ask the questions of Gene Mooney about the criminal case, and her lawyer who was present wouldn't let you do that, right?
Correct.
Well, did Lieutenant O'Coin have a lawyer there that prohibited you from asking the similar questions that you wanted to ask Gene Mooney?
No.
So
Well,
why didn't you ask him those questions?
because they weren't relevant to getting into motivation and the credibility of Lieutenant O'Coin, because I viewed him as being entirely credible.
But I don't understand, sir, why you wanted to ask the questions of Gene Mooney. You're prohibited from doing that.
Mhm.
And then when O'Coin volunteers to tell you about it, you think it's irrelevant.
Well, it's not relevant to the specific issues that I was investigating, which is the inappropriate comments made by Chief Cummings.
The alleged inappropriate comments by
Correct.
Chief Cummings that are not verified by anybody else other than Gene Mooney. Now, one of the things that you say is that the chief didn't specifically, quote, deny making the statement.
Correct.
Do you know where you were June 30th, 2010?
I could not tell you.
Do you remember any conversation you had back then?
Point of reference to what I was doing or where I was on that day, I could not tell you.
So did you find it unusual that when you asked the chief whether or not he had ever called her a bitch that day? I don't remember saying that. That's what he said to you, didn't he?
Well, actually, I found it unusual that he didn't deny it.
When you say he didn't deny it, that was the tipping point for you? And once again, we don't have a tape recording of that actual interview to know exactly what the chief told you, do we?
No, we don't.
I need to ask for a recess. It wasn't an objection, I wanted to take a minute, and I would just state that while we were having lunch, I had a conversation with Mr. Burke, because I thought his questions warranted some information, and it was in the nature of discovery, even though discovery isn't allowed in these kinds of proceedings. But as an abundance of professional caution and courtesy, I made a disclosure to him, and he can do what he wants with it.
So what am I supposed to do with that?
It's on tape, that's all.
All right. Sir, I asked you numerous questions, didn't I, about tape recording and the importance of tape recording and its preservation of the conversation in as accurate a manner as possible?
You did.
And you said it's not your practice to do that?
Correct.
And did I ask you in general terms, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, whether or not any of the individuals were tape recorded that you interviewed?
Objection. You're asking him to remember the exact language that you used.
Well-
Well, wait. I made the disclosure because I was satisfied as an advocate operating in good faith that no question had
So can
warranted.
you just state your objection in the reason?
The objection is you're asking him to remember testimony and it's not fair. He doesn't have to remember the exact form of any question that was asked an hour ago.
You can remember the chief's conversation.
Objection sustained. I would say, you know, if you want to provide, you know, maybe we should play the tape. Oh, we don't have a tape. So, I mean, I'm not sure.
Well, that's where we're getting. Did you volunteer the fact that somebody else had tape recorded one of the witnesses that you interviewed?
Well, I did volunteer to counsel for the city.
Okay, well, do you think that he's on an equal footing with me?
Wait a second. He did exactly what he's supposed to do, and I did exactly what I was supposed to do. So why don't you ask substantive questions and move on, please, sir?
So somebody did tape record one of the interviews, didn't they?
The attorney for Gene Mooney brought a tape recorder to that interview.
And you were present and you knew that they did that, right?
Yes, they asked for my permission.
And you gave it to them?
Well, initially I said no.
Okay, well, obviously you gave it to them at some point.
Correct.
Did they tell you why they did that?
Her attorney indicated that he was reluctant to have her testify, or excuse me, talk to me without having that conversation recorded.
Did he tell you he wanted to make sure exactly what she said was on tape so there wouldn't be any question about it?
I don't believe that was his words. No.
Did you ever mention that to me during all the questioning I asked you about the tape?
Objection. And I made a disclosure when I thought it was ethically proper to do so.
Mr. Rooney, the significance of this is that I asked for all statements of all witnesses, and it includes tape-recorded statements. There is a tape recording that's in existence that was not provided to me, that should have been made available to me.
Yes.
I should have had an opportunity to have that prior to Gene Mooney testifying, to have exactly what her statements were. I asked numerous questions of her about what comments she had made to Mr. Mitnick during my cross-examination of her.
Mm-hmm.
And there was numerous discrepancies, in my opinion. I was not provided with that tape recording. And my client obviously is put at a direct disadvantage because she's already been released as a witness. That should have been done. And I'm asking you to suspend this proceeding until I'm provided with a copy of that tape. In fairness to him, we should have had that during her direct testimony for me to cross-examine her.
Couldn't disagree more.
I didn't expect you to agree, sir, but we're talking
I wanna
about
be heard.
fairness here. Mr. Mitnick, to his credit, at least disclosed it, okay?
Mhm.
The timing of it is an issue, but at least to his credit, he disclosed it. He is an agent of this city. I should have been made aware of that before this hearing began, and I could have taken other steps then to secure it from them. And it's not private property. It's done during the course of a mandated hearing, interview, that she had an obligation to attend.
The record stands that it is not in possession of the city, it's not in our custody, it's not in our control. We cannot get the tape. It's personal property of the of Ms. Mooney or her lawyer, essentially. And so your request is denied, and we will continue with the hearing.
Sir, did you read the complaint submitted by Ms. Mooney, submitted on May 21st to the city?
Is that from Attorney Tachi?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And in addition to the alleged comments about poor and bitch, there are several other things that she accused the chief of that you determined completely not true.
I was asked to look into 2 additional ones. I think there are a lot more than just those
Okay,
2.
and she's the one raising the allegations.
Correct.
And you found that her allegations in 2 of those instances, at least 2, were incorrect or not true. Did you?
Unsubstantiated.
Okay, unsubstantiated. Do you put that in the category of a false accusation?
No.
You don't?
No.
What category do you put it in? Just unsubstantiated?
Unsubstantiated. Absolutely.
Because there's insufficient evidence?
That's exactly right.
Well, did you find insufficient evidence that he had falsely applied for some promotional financial benefit that she had accused him of? You think that was unsubstantiated?
If I understand your question, I think I substantiated that the chief did not falsely report.
She accused him of it, didn't she?
Correct.
So that's unsubstantiated? Either he falsely applied for it or he didn't. That's what she said. He falsely applied for it.
That is what she said, yes.
Did you find her accusation to be truthful?
Well, no, what I found was that he appropriately complied with the procedure applicable to getting that benefit.
Did you find another allegation that she made had no merit?
She made an allegation concerning the chief's involvement with the photographs.
And you found that that wasn't true also, didn't you?
It was unsubstantiated, didn't happen.
So we have two other instances in which Ms. Mooney has made allegations
Correct.
that negative about the chief. In reading that letter of May 21st, did you hear or did you read that she alleged that he had set her up?
I believe the attorney did say that.
Well, during the investigation, did you find any evidence that the chief had set her up?
No.
You did an investigation, you had talked to 10 different people. Did you find any evidence that he framed her?
Within the limitations to what my investigation was pertaining to? No.
In addition to the alleged comment about bitch, you asked just about everybody, didn't you? Did you ever hear the chief use that word before or after?
Never.
Okay, that was their answer, wasn't it?
Correct.
You evaluate people every day, don't you?
Their credibility, yes.
Yeah. And in terms of credibility, you talked to the chief, right?
Yes.
He was forthright with you, wasn't he?
I thought he was credible.
Very credible. The chief answered all your questions,
He
didn't
did?
he? Didn't have a lawyer there.
No, he did not.
And there was no questions that he refused to answer, right?
Absolutely not.
And would you agree with me, sir, that the only person who ever heard or alleged that the chief had used the words bitch and whore is Jean Mooney?
They were actually present
Yeah.
at the time. That's correct.
Chief DeVoe didn't hear it.
Correct.
Lieutenant O'Coin didn't hear it.
That's correct.
He was present during one of them, wasn't he? Was it the
I
whore comment or the alleged whore comment or the bitch comment?
think he was allegedly there for, I'd have to see my report, but I believe it was the bitch.
How long did you interview the chief?
On which occasion?
Well, let's do total. First one starts at 1 o'clock on June 1st.
I'm gonna guess probably 25 minutes, a half hour, but I'm not certain of it.
You knew the significance of this, right?
Yes.
And how long do you think I've been questioning you?
Objection.
I mean, let's keep this in perspective here. I think
I'm trying to put it in perspective.
how long we've been questioning him, and, we're all here, we're all witnesses, so can we stay on the
Did you
thread?
consider your interview to be as thorough? Did you consider it to be thorough?
Yes.
Mr. Mitnick, you told us that you interviewed the chief 3 separate times.
Correct.
When was the third time you interviewed him?
The specific date,
Sure.
I don't recall.
Do you know how long you interviewed him that time?
I believe it was relatively brief.
And did you talk to him at the conclusion of your interview regarding what you had determined at that point?
I believe I told him I hadn't made any determination.
Did you ever say to him that he had nothing to worry about, there was nothing in this case?
I don't recall ever saying
Okay, I listened to your words. You didn't tape record the entire thing,
Nope.
right? And you said you don't recall that. You're not denying you said that then, right?
that. I am denying I said that.
Did you deny it when I asked you first? You said you didn't recall.
Well, but I.
Why isn't Mr. Mitnick, who is this specialized investigator, who's paid by the hour, never even finds it necessary to tape record the statements for accuracy, or go to the police station? So when Paula says, or Jean says, well, Paula was right there, she heard it. How could she possibly not have heard it? The only way is because it wasn't said. And what does Mitnick say? Mitnick says, I found the chief to be open, credible. Does he show up there with a lawyer who tape records an interview and then secretes it from me? What does Mitnick say about the chief's credibility? Never refused to answer a question. And you know what his cockamamie reasoning is? Oh, he didn't say specifically that he denied it, so I found that unusual. The question was, do you remember saying this? And I asked him, remember what you said in June of 2010? No. So how does he apply that standard to this man? And because he doesn't, according to him, and we don't know that because he didn't tape record it, according to him, he didn't deny the statement. He said, I don't remember ever saying anything like that. Take a little step further. Where you been for 2 years? Why do you think all of a sudden you've got this argument, these contentions, that this man has been so abusive to her? She said it was like a family. Yeah, it was, until she got desperate, until she took the money, and now she's got to go on the offensive. The best defense is a strong offense. Well, let's bring up all this stuff about the chief from 2 years ago. Some stuff that nobody else has ever heard. Nobody else corroborates. Okay, Mitnick says, well, she corroborated it. It was corroborated because she told her best friend about it. Her best friend, who doesn't even hear it, 4 feet away. We're going to fire somebody? You're going to fire somebody who's brought this city to be the #1 safest city in the country? Who's dedicated his life every single day to making the lives of these people better? The mayor jumped the gun. And you probably don't want to hear that, but that's the reality here. He didn't have the benefit of sitting here like you did, Mr. Rooney, and hearing this in a factual, objective way. What's the real evidence here? Not Mitnick's 15, 20 minutes at a time, 2 pages, a page and a half of interview notes from the interview of Lieutenant O'Coin. How many notes you written? How many notes has the clerk written in the 25 minutes since I've been talking? At any juncture here. You think it's like a page and a half? Is that a thorough investigation? Is that fair to a man who's given his life to this city? And I don't need to go into all the lives he's helped save or all the accommodations that he's received. But this is somebody, this city, and the support that he has here is somebody you can be proud of. And to have them turn their back on him now and to waffle in the face of these phony allegations that are not substantiated, that have no validity, that come 2 years after the fact under a clear-cut improper motive, it's galling.